future. Senator Warren, I'm handing it off to you.
Thank you very much, Maurice. And I want to say how much it means to me to be here with you tonight and to be here with Working Families Party. You know, this is literally the first group I've gotten together with, and it is appropriate because, Maurice, you are truly someone who's been on the front lines of every fight, leading Working Families Party to make sure that we stay centered on our values and on honoring the working people that have a right to a government that works for them. So it's good to be here with you tonight. It is such a sad occasion. With the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we lost an icon. We lost a trailblazer. We lost a role model, and I lost a friend. Ruth Bader Ginsburg changed the world, and I'm going to miss her. Our grief is real tonight, but we cannot slip into despair. There is too much at stake. Roe versus Wade, health care, dreamers, voting, racial justice, economic justice, unions, the right to collectively bargain, your right to love who you love and to decide how you want to worship. Our very democracy, the ability to vote, money in politics, it all ends up in the United States Supreme Court. And losing Ruth puts all of that at risk. Ruth left our nation a note, and the note said that her most fervent wish was for her replacement not to be named until a new president is installed. Mitch McConnell simply won't listen to that. Now, 4 years ago, 2016, when Barack Obama was president, Mitch McConnell refused to move forward on President Obama's Supreme Court nominee because President Obama had only 1 year left in his term. And now, today, he's making clear that he and Donald Trump will try to name a new Supreme Court justice with only 45 days until the election. You know, I hear that, and what I hear is the last gasp of a desperate party that is overrepresented in the halls of power. I hear the last gasp of a corrupt Republican leadership that does not reflect the views of the majority of our people and does not reflect our values as a nation. Voting is already underway in some places in the 2020 election. So let us be clear. There should be no Supreme Court confirmation before the inauguration. Ruth is gone, and tonight is about honoring Ruth. We honor her with our action. We fight hard to make sure that Republicans honor Ruth's wishes and don't ram through a confirmation before the inauguration next January. And we got to do this one together. I'm going to be pushing from the inside, and I'm counting on you to push from the outside. We have to focus on the coming elections. The White House, the Senate, Democrats up and down the ballot all across our nation. We've got to register everyone to vote. We've got to request those mail-in ballots. We've got to vote early, and we've got to fight like hell to rebuild our democracy. I know that at times it can feel hopeless, but remember, hope is not given to us. Hope is something that we create. There has never been a more righteous time to get in this fight. So here's how I see this. Joe and Kamala, candidates who are running for Senate all across this nation, Democrats up and down the ticket. They need us. They need us now. I'm going to be there with them, and I know you will too. WFP, Maurice, the whole team is going to keep everyone engaged. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was an icon. She was a trailblazer. But what I love best about her, she was a fighter. And no matter how hard the battle, she never gave up. And neither do we. We persist. We'll do this together. Thank you, Maurice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Senator Warren. On behalf of the entire working families community all around the country, we thank you. Now more than ever, when so many of our crises are coming together, and we need to push from the inside and the outside. So good evening to everybody who joined us. Thank you for choosing to spend a Saturday night in this fight with us. I'm Maurice Mitchell. I'm the National Director of the Working Families Party. And this is the first time, if you, for example, you've been to a WFP Assembly, it's a virtual community meeting we hold once a month. And sometimes when big news hits, we want to make sure that people are in motion. So we call this emergency meeting of our community. Last night, we lost a giant. Mother Jones taught us to mourn for the dead and fight like hell for the living. Tonight, we're going to do both. The reason one small woman looms so large is because of the fight she led. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a brilliant lawyer who litigated landmark women's rights cases, who designed innovative legal strategies to enshrine women's equality in American life, law, and society. As a Supreme Court justice, she made major contributions to progress in women's rights and civil rights and more. That's how she earned the word notorious. She stood across the board and fought in the gap against right-wing attacks on democracy. From voting rights to Citizens United to Bush v. Gore. Even if the stakes of the moment were lower, we would still be saddened by her death. While we honor her life, we can't afford to lose a moment in making sense of what her death means for this year's election and for the state of our fragile democracy. So let's just take a step back. As everyone knows, Supreme Court justices have lifetime appointments and final word on whether a law or presidential action is allowed. With the right-wing majority, the Supreme Court has whittled away abortion rights, voting rights, and gun safety. It's also done things that get less notice, gutting school integration programs, shredding consumer protections and workers' rights, and granting the president breathtaking powers when it comes to surveillance and more. Mitch McConnell has already said he plans to push through a vote on a Trump nominee, which would create a 6-3 right-wing majority. So where did that right-wing majority come from? Republicans lost the popular vote 6 out of the last 7 presidential elections. I'm going to say that again. Republicans lost the popular vote in 6 out of the last 7 presidential elections, but still took the White House 3 times, once decided by the court itself. In that time, they appointed 4 Supreme Court justices. Ginsburg's seat would make it a 5th. Now, let's think about this. Justices picked by Donald Trump could end up deciding the outcome of lawsuits about the validity of millions of votes cast this fall and hand the election right back to Trump. More and more, the far right is faced with the choice between their power and democracy, and they do not blink. The Christian white nationalist movement that owns the Republican Party sees the growing diversity of the nation. Rather than share power, they've determined that such a nation will never elect them with popular majorities. They dug in to demand minority rule, like the Electoral College, for example, or the Senate, which gives the same representation to Wyoming as it does California. And like the Supreme Court itself, it extends to its efforts to block immigration, to undermine the census and voter suppression, especially to Black people, both legal and illegal. In the 1850s, when the Republican Party emerged as a party committed to stopping the expansion of slavery, the Supreme Court was controlled by pro-slavery forces. In the 1857 Dred Scott decision, the court ruled that Black people, enslaved or free, had, quote, no rights which the white man is obliged to respect, end quote. The the Republican Party of that time and its presidential candidate, Abraham Lincoln, did not just condemn the decision. Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, and others condemned the idea that a tiny group of unelected judges should have the final say. When Lincoln became president and Southern states seceded, Republicans added seats to the Supreme Court and reorganized the whole court system to ensure that it was not above democracy and it could not halt progress. Many of us on the left admire Supreme Court decisions from the middle decades of the 20th century. Sometimes the court led the way on expanding rights when Congress was deadlocked, but this period of time is the exception, not the rule. So whatever the outcome of the coming battle, we must dedicate ourselves to strengthening democracy and weakening every bastion of minority rule. And that means rejecting the idea that the powers and the structure of the courts are off limits. Right now, in the coming weeks, what we need to do is so clear. We must do everything we could do to demand the Senate not let this come to pass. And while Trump believes the prospect of another right-wing justice will galvanize his base, we must ensure it mobilizes progressives to turn out even more. We must ramp up pressure to the Republican senators who are in competitive elections, and there'll be more to do than that. But as ever with Donald Trump and his GOP enablers, the single most important thing we could do is to beat them at the polls. Now, this is not abstract. This is not abstract. I want everybody to imagine the worst that could possibly happen. Worse than this court right now. Imagine a court that does not believe, will never believe healthcare is a right. Will never believe that we are imbued with basic rights as Black folks, as immigrants, as trans folks. Imagine a court that will abide by the continued humiliation of Black folks by law enforcement, or upholds the harassment of immigrants, or so much more. We must throw everything we have at this, and we hope you will too. Thank you. So on tonight's call, we're going to give you some concrete ways you could join this fight tonight. But first, we have a couple more people, and we're lucky enough to hear from this just brilliant, powerful grouping of people across the nation. Our next speaker is Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts. Senator, despite the occasion, we're so glad you're here tonight. And on behalf of all of us at WFP, I'd like to congratulate you on your recent victory. Your win was a victory for our shared vision of a Green New Deal. But first of all, we want to hear from you on the fight we're up against right now. And thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much. And by the way, I wouldn't have...
Senator Markey?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
You can hear me now?
Yep, loud and clear.
Oh, beautiful. Well, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you for doing this evening. Thank you for your support in my race only 2 weeks ago, but the Working Family Card is absolutely indispensable. So thank you, Maurice, so much for your great words and for your help. Tonight's a very sad night.
Senator Markey, you're coming in and out. So before you get on a roll, I just want to make sure you're situated and that we figure out the audio.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Just keep on doing what you're doing.
Now okay, good. My wife is Jewish, and she tells me that the most righteous die on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the New Year. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a champion of justice, a woman of valor, and a trailblazer, as Senator Warren said, a legal giant, a rock star. Few become icons, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg did become an icon, and our hearts are broken with the passing of Justice Ginsburg. She was a pioneer in the fight for equal rights and a role model for young women across the country. She was a brilliant and effective advocate for freedom of speech, reproductive rights, and civil rights. She was the embodiment of true justice and what every jurist dreams, hopes, and aspires to become. Her passing leaves a huge hole in our hearts. And it leaves a vacancy on the Supreme Court just 45 days before the 2020 presidential election. What ought to happen next is very clear. Mitch McConnell set the precedent with his treatment of Merrick Garland, President Obama's nominee to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court that arose with the death of Justice Antonin Scalia 269 days before the 2016 presidential election. McConnell said that the Senate would not fill a Supreme Court vacancy in a presidential election year, that the voters would get their say on who the president would be, and then, and only then, the president would decide whom to nominate. The McConnell rule was simple, it was clear. In setting that bar, McConnell kept the Scalia seat open for more than a year, more than 400 days, from vacancy to floor vote until Donald Trump was president. And that's why we have Justice Neil Gorsuch right now on the Supreme Court. McConnell and his Republican caucus in the Senate stole, plain and simple, stole the Supreme Court seat. It was outright theft, plain and simple. And now they're acting like recidivists and trying to steal another one. We cannot let them do that. A mere 45 days from Election Day, McConnell says he's going to give President Trump's nominee to succeed Justice Ginsburg a vote on the floor of the Senate. That would give the Republican-appointed justices a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, a court on which Chief Justice Roberts would no longer be a swing vote. Hypocrisy is too weak a word to describe McConnell and his colleagues' position here. It's corruption, period. It's corruption. And historic is too weak a word to describe the battle we are going to have on our hands in order to stop it. But we have to, because there is a lot at stake. The Affordable Care Act, pre-existing conditions being protected, Roe versus Wade, every environmental law, voting rights law, LGBTQ rights. And I'm glad you said it, Maurice. We could have this justice who is going to be confirmed if the Republicans have their way, being the key in another 5-4 vote that gives the Republicans the White House where they do not deserve it. And so that means all of us are impacted, and it will only be in coalition, working together, that we can fight back. And here's what I believe, that the party that is more energized and galvanized by this Supreme Court fight will win both the White House and control of the Senate on Election Day. That means winning control of how our nation is run, what our very democracy will look like for these next critical years and beyond. That must be us. We must work to ensure the Republicans lose control of the Senate. Justice has always been on the ballot in 2020. Racial justice, environmental justice, healthcare justice, economic justice, and now the very future of our system of justice is on the ballot. All three branches of government are at stake, and so is the future of this nation and all that we hold dear. We cannot be quiet. We cannot wait. We cannot sit by. The Senate is split 53-47. Just 4 Republican senators can stop this latest McConnell-Trump travesty. No amount of pressure on them is too much pressure. They need to see it, to hear it, to feel it in every single way on every single day between now and November 3rd. And let's be clear, if McConnell and Trump succeed in their latest Supreme Court heist, they will have left us with no alternative. We must abolish the filibuster and expand the Supreme Court in a new Democrat-controlled Senate. Republicans are already calling this a threat and radical and undemocratic. What's radical is stealing a Supreme Court seat. What's undemocratic is ignoring the dying wish of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the greatest Supreme Court justices ever to serve. So in the face of Republican hypocrisy and corruption, we must use all the tools at our disposal. Hoping and relying upon Republicans to do the right thing is simply not a lasting strategy. My father was a union leader. He taught me, don't beg for your rights, organize and take them. We need to take that lesson to heart right now. We must fight, and we must take back the Supreme Court. We must not agonize. We must organize right now. That's why I'm so glad you're on a call on Saturday night because this seat is too important. The future of the Supreme Court is too important. Our very democracy is too important. So I thank all of you for everything that you're going to do as part of this fight for the life of our democracy that began last night.
Thank you, Senator Markey. And, I appreciate you invoking the words of your father. And yes, today we will mourn, but today we will organize. Now, I want to just pass it from Senator Markey to our next speaker. And I'm so excited for this next speaker. Our next speaker is Alicia Garza, who is a co-founder of Black Lives Matter and principal at Black to the Future Action Fund, and a deep personal friend who I will follow anywhere. At WFP, we seek to bring the values of our social movements into elections. And I'm so grateful to be following this social movement leader and all the work that she does. So Alicia, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Maurice, for having me. And shout out to the WFP for literally being the light that I'm crawling towards on my hands and knees. Like, I feel it, y'all. I feel like we're down to the white meat. So let me just start off by saying this. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is a hero and has led and paved a path that has not only led to incredible, incredible impacts that we are fighting to defend today, but there's something else that we should say about her that I think doesn't get talked about enough, which is that the way in which she was inspired and motivated to have so much dedication, so much commitment to this cause, is that she herself had suffered many, many disappointments in her life. She had faced many, many barriers in her life, and she dedicated herself to making sure that the people coming after her did not face those same barriers. She was not alone in being a catalyst for how it was that we were able to smash the concrete barriers that basically kept women in this country from being able to live full and dignified lives. But part of what was an engine for her was that she got up after she got knocked down and kept it pushing. And because she did that, she has become not only a cultural icon in this country, but a political icon in this nation. I think that we're in that same moment. And I think that in order for us to really embody the dedication and commitment she had to being able to break down barriers, that we too actually have to believe that we can get up, dust off our knees, wipe off our mouths, and get back to it. Because the fact of the matter is, we have 44 days, not just to make history, but we have 44 days to prove that we can live another day to keep fighting. I want to just offer us some very clear perspective here. Yes, it would be a tragedy of momentous proportions to allow the Supreme Court to go to 6-3 Republican rule. We all know that Republicans are not the traditional Republican Party that we've been used to for the last 30 years, that in the last decade, this party has literally become the most extreme side of politics that I think this country has ever seen. But more than that, even, why this is important is because, frankly, one of the strategies that they are lobbying right now in order to protect the power that they've stolen, one of the tools that they're using is to attack our movement. I spent the majority of this week dealing with attacks from this administration that basically demonstrate to us exactly what they're going to do if we do not win by a landslide in November, and get ready on the day after to keep swinging and keep fighting. I want to just offer us a couple of quick things before I wrap up here. Number one, things are bad. And I don't want to gaslight us into thinking that they're not. They are. We have significant challenges in front of us. But even with those significant challenges, we still have chess moves. And I want us to be able to puff out our chests and say, we're not done yet. There's no way that we are going down. We have not gone down yet. And I actually believe that if we can supercharge ourselves right now and fortify that for the next 44 days, that what we can do in this country is demonstrate that we learned the lessons of 2016. In 2016, we thought that being against Trump was going to be the way that voters were going to get galvanized. We may be making a mistake even thinking that, you know, that the passing of RBG is going to be the thing that is going to energize people across this country. The fact of the matter is, what is going to energize people across this country is our organizing and our dedication to touching people who right now, at this very minute, even though there's so much at stake, they're watching the television, they're talking to their neighbors, and they're saying, I'm not sure I'm going to get out there and do anything. So our job over the next 44 days is to bring the spirit and the fight and the courage of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg out into our communities like we never have before. We've got to talk to not just the people on this call and the people that we'd be talking to. We got to get to 3 or 4 extra voters per person times the size of our movement. That's what our task is over the next 44 days. That's the only way, quite frankly, we're going to be able to take back the Senate. It's the only way that we will tip the scales to replace the leadership in the White House. And even when we do that, we, of course, are going to have to contend with the fact that he does not plan to walk out and away from power without a fight. If we cannot secure this victory, our movement will not be able to operate in the way that we are right now. That's a fact. I can guarantee you that their roadmap right now is to ensure that they drive this movement underground. Our task actually is to drive their movement underground. Quite frankly, when Maurice talked earlier about the mobilization of white nationalist and white supremacist militias, that is happening in large response because of the success that our movement has had, not just over the last 6 months, but frankly, over the last 7 years. We owe it to ourselves and we owe it to RBG to take our movement into the polls and turn out more voters than this country has seen before. That is our task. That is how we will accomplish the next chess moves that we have to make. And frankly, I think we're all up for it. But let's recommit ourselves right now in our grief, in our rage. Do not despair. We have a gameplay, and what it requires is that we activate it. Let's go, y'all.
Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you. And those final words, take our movement into the polls, right? We have less than 50 days. Let's get activated and let's bring that energy, that movement energy, into the way that we express ourselves electorally. And we have another movement leader who's going to also share with you what's at stake. So I wanna, and I'm again honored to be able to bring another speaker who I call a friend and comrade. So I'm honored to introduce as our final speaker of the evening, Greisa Martinez, the Executive Director of United with Dream Action, the largest immigrant youth-led movement in the country, and a close partner of the Working Families Party. Also a co-partner in the Rising Majority and a co-partner in the Frontline United Front project that we're building with the Movement for Black Lives and the Working Families Party in order to bring the thousands and thousands of people, millions of people that hit the streets into the polls. So Greisa, thank you for being in community with us this evening as we remember Justice Ginsburg and plan for the moment ahead of us. Greisa.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you for that. Thank you, Alicia, Senators Warren and Markey. And hello, Working Families Party fam. It's so good to be with all of you tonight. My name is Greisa Martinez Rosas. I am undocumented, unafraid, queer, unashamed, and I am here to stay. I serve as the Executive Director of United We Dream Action. We are the nation's largest immigrant youth-led network. And tonight, we pause on the battlefield for liberation to remember with admiration and gratitude the lioness, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We all lost a powerful ally in the fight for justice yesterday. Justice Ginsburg was a trailblazer, the daughter of a Jewish immigrant. The notorious RBG was an inspiration to countless of young women, girls, and immigrants who dream and fight for a better life for themselves and for their families. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was resilient and tenacious, pushing back against the grip of patriarchy. She has been an advocate for gender justice, and during her time as the Supreme Court Justice, she helped advance the rights of marginalized people. I am one of them. I am one of over 700,000 DACA recipients that call this country home. This summer, undocumented young people and our families, we took our fight to white supremacy straight to the Supreme Court. And with Justice Ginsburg on our side, we won. RBG saw through the Trump administration's malicious attack on immigrant young people. And family, friends, we are at war. Collectively, we're at war for the future of our republic. And like all American wars, politicians have positioned the bodies of Black and brown people to die first. Death by COVID, death by cop or ICE agent, death by underground abortion. And for some of us, more than others, we are literally fighting for our lives. And we pause on this battlefield to remember that justice is on our history and that justice is our destiny. But we know, but we only pause for a moment because we know that the super rich who make their money from burning the planet, building prisons, and twisting information with Fox News or Facebook are bankrolling Donald Trump's artillery. They're motivated by greed and fear, and they don't sleep. They never have. And in just over 40 days is Election Day. And right now, people can get and turn in mail-in ballots in their states. Everyone who can vote must vote, and everyone else must ensure that every voter they know drops the ballot for change. The stakes are high. And as we saw in Portland and in Chicago, the present day reality of undocumented people like me will be the future reality of all people of principle, whether you're a citizen or not, unless we stop them. The white supremacist private army of Donald Trump, ICE and CBP, is already sweeping the streets of torture to abduct more people and anyone who defies their leader. Just imagine what they are capable of in a second Trump term with an expanded Supreme Court majority. Sisters and brothers, I have no doubt that we can defeat them. Today, in this country, there is a new and thriving multiracial mass movement led by young people, queer people, people of color, and the Black people on this call. We have stepped up as a fight for a long line of freedom fighters. We are in the through line of their legacy, and it is our turn, and we are ready. With all that they are throwing at us, we rise. With all that they say about us, we fight. Millions more will join our ranks. Because we know that the power to defeat greed and fear of Donald Trump's super rich puppet masters is within you, is within me, is within all of us. And we are grounded in the boundless love of community and the discipline of hope. We represent the vast majority and they are a tiny majority. They know this, and we must embrace this truth too. We do not buy into the lie that we are powerless. We will not buy into that lie. And we embrace the truth that we are powerful beyond measure, and that together we will create a future that will truly astonish the world, where we can live, where we can thrive, where we can breathe. I am honored to be with all of you, freedom fighters, tonight. Let's summon this energy to be able to hold one another and to win. Because as June Jordan put it, we have come too far. We won't turn around. We'll flood these streets with justice. We are freedom bound. May her memory be a blessing in our calling. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Greisa. We are freedom bound indeed. And let this moment christen us freedom fighters, not just voters or organizers, but freedom fighters. So I just want to thank you again, Greisa. And now you've heard from Greisa, you've heard from Alicia, you heard from Senators Warren and Markey. You heard my remarks. Now let's turn to what we can do right now to help honor Justice Ginsburg's final wish and stop a right-wing consolidation of the Supreme Court and fight like hell for those that are living. The first thing you could do is an email to your senators tonight, right now, and demand they stop any action to fill the vacancy before the inauguration. That means no hearings, no debate, no forward motion on any nominee until after the people have spoken and we have a new president in office. You can email your senators easily by going to wfpus.org/RBG-Senate. And for everybody who's currently in the Zoom, we're going to place that in the chat box. For those of you that are watching on the live stream, you'll see a link. Again, it's wfpus.org/RBG, then -Senate. Click on that link and you can immediately email your senator. So that's number one, okay? But there's more activities, there's more actions. Number two, another big way you could help is to join our national texting team. Tomorrow, we're launching a massive text banking operation to reach 1 million voters, urging them to contact their senators and join direct action to stop a right-wing takeover of the Supreme Court. The link to join is also in the chat if you're in Zoom, and we'll make sure that link goes out to social media. So I'll just give you a few seconds to click that link right now. Click both of those links so you can send your email and click the link so that you can become part of our texting team, but do outreach to voters in key Senate districts and key states in order to ensure that the right-wing takeover doesn't happen. Third, we know that any victory hinges on an election that is just 6 weeks away. We all need to go all in on victory, a very clear, resounding victory. The WFP is already kicking ass for the working class in PA and Wisconsin, and we got phone banks running to turn people out to vote safely to defeat Donald Trump. We're also doing direct voter contact in states with close U.S. Senate races that could help flip control out from Mitch McConnell's hands. For an ongoing list of activities in those states, check out the link that will be in the chat window as well. So those are your three actions. Number one, email your senator right now. Number two, join our texting team in order to text folks in key states. And number three, join us so that we could defeat Donald Trump. I'll give you all a moment to sign up. Now there's more. So this is where we're starting, but tactics might need to escalate, and we're gonna keep you posted, right? Because at Working Families Party, we're a political party. So we encourage people to vote. We often recruit people to run, but we believe in using all the tactics, including direct action, civil disobedience, strikes, and other disruptions, because they also are forms of power that working people have to rely on. And we believe in using all the tools at our disposal. Finally, this moment makes it clearer than ever before that we must build durable power for working people for the long haul. Our mandate is to make America finally keep its unmet promise of liberty and equality for all. This country should be a place where everyone can thrive, no matter where you're from, what you believe, what you look like, who you love, how much money is in your parents' pockets, how much money you may have, what zip code you live in. And so tonight, let's stake our claim on that vision, assert our collective interest, and co-create a political space to make sure that we can build the country and the world we deserve. I do this through being a WFP member. I'm not only the national director of the WFP, I'm a very proud WFP member. At the Working Families Party, a member is anyone who affirms and perpetuates the values of the Working Families Party and engages in the fight for justice by making a commitment of $10 a month or more. Today, we invite you to be co-investors and co-owners of the Working Families Party by becoming a member. This ensures we are a party owned by working people, not billionaires. I am asking you all to become a member today via a $10 a month donation or larger, and to start to organize our resources in our communities to fight for our freedom. So if you're ready to build, you could take your phone out right now. So in the chat window, I'm looking to see who has their phone. Get your phone out right now. I could see you. Okay, take your phone out. And I want you to text the word member, MEMBER, to the number 30403. So text the word member to the number 30403. That's 30403. Don't wait, don't think about it, do it now. Right? It'll take you directly to a page where you could sign up and become a dues paying member at any level that's meaningful to you. So I started at 10 and then I moved my way up, and you could do so. Many people have numbers that are meaningful to them. The number 40 is a number that means a lot to people for different reasons, for different symbolic and spiritual reasons. Many people sign up as $40 a month. Many people are working people, and cobbling together $10 a month is very, very significant. Every penny, every dollar, every piece of dues that you give as a working person goes to building this collective movement, and we thank you. Also, there's a link in the chat in order to become a member. Great. So if you're on the computer right now, you could just click on that link in the chat window or text the word member to 30403. So now I'm just going to wait a moment so folks could click the link and text the word member. And if you're in the chat and you've become a member, let everybody know that you're a proud member. If you're currently a member, this is a perfect time to bump up or just to let folks in the chat know that you are a proud member of the Working Families Party. Now, Working Families Party is my political home. If you become a member, it is your political home. And it's the political home of everyday working people, as well as Working Families Party accountable elected officials up and down the ballot, from school boards, city council to Congress. We actually have a guest on the line who is a Working Families Party member, a Working Families Party Democrat, and will soon be a Working Families Party congressperson. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce my man, officially probably the most hip hop congressperson in Congress, Jamaal Bowman. Jamaal, brother.
What's up, Maurice? What's up, everyone? Peace and love to the Working Families Party. Peace and love to the family. I'm here with my son, Jelani Bowman, 19 years old, in college. Just wanted to show him some light, show him some love. Thank you, Maurice. Thank you, Sochi. Thank you, everyone, for putting this together. It was a tough night last night, tough morning this morning. Just felt numb at the passing of RBG, the notorious RBG. Felt numb, felt distraught, but then felt emboldened and inspired to do more and to be more and to stay in the fight and to take the fight up another couple of notches, because we cannot have another 4 years of Donald Trump. We cannot have a conservative Republican held Supreme Court, and we cannot have Republican control of the Senate. And we especially cannot have those things all at the same time. So we have to do whatever it takes. We have to use every measure to make sure we beat Donald Trump, we flip the Senate, we do everything we can so they do not nominate and appoint someone to the Supreme Court who is conservative. And if they do, and we beat Trump and flip the Senate, then we have to expand the Supreme Court. We got to pack the court to make sure it is balanced and make sure it is in a position to maintain all of the rights that we have fought for centuries and definitely for the last 5 decades. When we're talking about marriage equality and LGBTQ rights, when we're talking about reproductive rights, when we talk about voting rights, civil rights, we cannot allow the Supreme Court to roll those back, and we have to do everything in our power to make sure we are mobilizing the entire country so that we can win on November 3rd. In the last election, 2016, there were 96 million people who did not engage in the general election. That number has to come down to 0. We have to grow the base. We have to build power. We need everyone involved, not just voting, but registering to vote, voting, phone banking, text banking, filling out the census, doing whatever you can to be a part of our democracy. Because guess what? Democracy is a contact sport, and it's something we all have to be involved in each and every day. If we are not involved, it doesn't work. It does not work. And for the last 5 decades, 4 decades in particular, since Ronald Reagan, they have been rocking us to sleep. And when I say they, I mean the neoliberals, I mean the corporate elite, I mean the corporatocracy. They have been rocking us to sleep for decades. And because they've done that, they have taken over our political system and they have tried to take power from all of us. But we are taking it back right now, beginning today, beginning tonight. We will not let RBG die in vain. We got work to do. And I'm so blessed to be a member of the Working Families Party, doing that work with all of you. I've been calling all over the country today. I hit Maurice up. I hit Sochi up. I'm hitting everyone up that I know, because we need boots on the ground across this country to make sure we mobilize enough people to beat Trump, flip the Senate, pack the courts, and take back our country. We will not lose our democracy today. We will not lose it going forward. This will not become a fascist state. We are not going to let that happen. So it's my pleasure to be with you all. Peace and love, everyone. Let's keep up the fight. Let's freaking go.
That's right. You heard it straight from the 16th Congressional District. I don't know about you, but I'm fired up. If you're fired up, if you're ready to go, let us know in the chat. Let us know on social media. Tweet it out. If you're on Facebook, let us hear it. Let's go. Okay, so we're coming down to the final part of our call. I'm so honored to pass it to somebody who's holding it down in the Midwest, getting dirty, on the front lines in Wisconsin. One of our organizers who's transforming Wisconsin, Priscilla. Priscilla, please lead us to our next activity.
Hi all, my goodness, thank you for that introduction. So like Marie said, my name is Priscilla. I'm an organizer in Wisconsin. I'm gonna be leading you all through the Mentee tonight. So building our beloved community, building trust across differences is truly the only way we'll ever be strong enough to defeat the white nationalists and the billionaires and to honor everything that Justice Ginsburg fought for. That's why we carve out time on the WFP assemblies to connect with each other. In just a moment, we're gonna ask you to share your thoughts on a website called Mentee. If you're joining by video, you'll be able to see the responses as they're shared. I'll also be reading some responses out loud too for the folks that are joining by phone. Even in an emergency like this, the Assembly is a space where we can build our community, and the best way to build the community is to do it together. So whether this is your first time joining the Assembly or you join every month, we want to hear your thoughts and ideas. This is not something that's for you. You can step back and see what others on the call have to say. So let's get it all set up. You're gonna go to mentee.com on your cell phone or your computer. Michaela just dropped the code in the chat. So you're gonna input the code 409161 and press submit. So again, you'll put in the code 409161 and then click submit. You should see an image of Justice Ginsburg. I'm gonna ask you some questions for you to answer using this website. The responses are completely anonymous. They'll show up on the Zoom video screen here, and I will share them again out loud for those joining us by phone. Go through a few questions and get your thoughts and feedback, and then I'll turn it back over to Maurice to wrap up the call. So if you haven't already, please go to mentee.com and input the code 409161. All right, so with that, all right, so everyone should see our RBJ. Make sure that if you want to stay up to date with us, text the word member to 30403. And we want to know, are you ready to build with us? I'm really inspired to co-create our political home and want to uplift our WFP supporters. So if you're a WFP supporter, we want to know. I see lots of people that either are proud WFP members or joined tonight. We need to move all of you over from thinking about it into joining us. We love this. Thank you all so much. I'm encouraged to see so many longtime supporters and new supporters and people ready to build the party. So our first question, what are 1 or 2 words that describe how you're feeling after hearing our speakers tonight? See, inspired right off the bat, fired up and hopeful. Inspired's getting bigger, motivated, empowered, encouraged, energized. Inspired keeps getting bigger. This is great. We're pumped, we're grateful, we're ready to work, connected, ready to go, determined. This is great. We're energized, we're ready. Lots of ready. This is wonderful. We're galvanized. What a big word. Motivated, fired up. Awesome. Hopeful.
Hey, Priscilla, can
Yeah.
you activate the slide for us? The screen share's
Oh,
a
I'm
little
so
behind.
sorry.
Thanks.
Yes, I can. Sarah, would you love to walk me through how to do that? Is that
I
better?
believe if you just hit activate slide, it will show up.
I'm not seeing that option.
Sorry about this, folks.
All right.
There we go. That looks good.
There we go. That works now. All right. Well, thank you for your patience on these calls. We love this. This is great. All right. So we're hopeful, we're inspired, we're energized, motivated, and encouraged. All right. We're going to go to our next question. So what stuck out for you while you listened to the speakers, or what did you hear that made you curious tonight? All right, we see a united message, commitment, democracy is a contact sport. Everything is at stake. Lots of courage. Youth is leading the way. There are action steps to be taken. There's specific direction. There's the commonality of values. Yes, no time for apathy. Let's pack the court and fight like hell. Text banking, phone banking, emailing senators. Democracy is a contact sport, seeing that again. We can mobilize, we have power. This is great, we're not powerless, solidarity. And we're overwhelmed, very true, very real. There's lots of work to do, but we can fix this. We can do this together. These are great, great answers. All right, for our big one, share an inspiring story, a quote or memory of RBJ that inspires you to take action. When there are 9, absolutely. All of these, when there's seen so many when there are 9. She worked in the hospital. I ask all my brethren that as they take their foot off our necks, her entire life, that's a big one. What a big one that we have. She's tough as nails, absolutely. Many, many when there are 9, her dissenting, absolutely. All right, what is one action that you will take to honor RBG's last wish? We'll fight like hell, we'll phone bank, we'll vote, write senators, we'll text, keep phone banking, reaching out, working as poll workers. Yes, we need all of the poll workers. This is great. We want a phone bank. We absolutely need a phone bank. I'm excited for the energy that we're feeling here. Lots of energy. We're ready to fight like hell. This is fantastic. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all so much for participating and sharing your feedback. I know it can sometimes be a little difficult to have a conversation with so many people that are on this call. I hope what you heard tonight helps to bring you some sense of the community and power we want to build together. We love your feedback too. Feel free to keep sharing in the chat. With that, Maurice, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you for leading us all through that and leading us through the technical difficulties with such poise and all the work that you're doing in Wisconsin, just tearing it up. And we're really, really, I think, impressed and inspired by all the work that you and your comrades and your colleagues have built in Wisconsin, especially considering all the heat and intensity and protest and movement and spotlight in the movement there in Wisconsin. And you've just held it up with such dignity, and you've really held the WFP flag that in a way that really makes me and all of your colleagues very, very proud. So thank you, Priscilla. So here we are. We're at the close of this call, this historic call. I'd like to again thank all of you. I'd like to thank Senators Markey, Senator Warren, my comrade and friend, Alicia Garza, my comrade and friend, Greisa Martinez, my brother and friend, Jamaal Bowman, and all of you, in all the ways that we come together to weave together our different stories. You've heard from voices in the Midwest, from the West Coast, from Massachusetts. All of you are representing communities, your families, yourselves, all around the country in this very solemn moment. And yes, absolutely, mourn, and be so grateful that given all of the stress and trauma that we've experienced over the past few years, over the past few decades, that we're still intact with our humanity so that we could mourn, so that we could still feel. It's amazing. It's a blessing that we have not been numbed by the assault every day by the neo-fascists that are attempting to steal the courts and to steal our democracy. So again, on behalf of the Working Families Party, I want to honor your mourning, and translate that mourning into action. Join us at the Working Families Party. Text, absolutely. Vote, protest, strike, run for office, all the tactics at our disposal in order for us to bring home victory. Now, we close every month with something I'm borrowing from our siblings at the Movement for Black Lives. In just a moment, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Not right now, in a moment. So everybody could say goodnight together. We're gonna unmute ourselves. I'll give the cue though, so please wait. And it can feel very powerful to hear all of the voices in a cacophony of noise. Now, you could sing, you could recite poetry, you could, whatever noise or sound, whatever you could emit from your voice, that signals solidarity, that signals this blessed community, do so in a few seconds. It could sound like a symphony. So for those of you joining by video, just look at the mic icon, it's the mic icon. For those of you that are joining by phone, you have to click *6, don't do it yet. All right, so I am gonna, on my go ahead, I'm gonna count to 3 and then we could go ahead. So everybody's gonna say goodnight together in the way that they deem fit. In 3, 2, 1, unmute.
Good
Everyone, thank you.
It's good to be unmuted.
Love you. Be well.
Thank you all.
Together.
Power to the people.
Thank
In
you.
peace, RBG.
Thank you.